Hello, my name is Joy, and I am an avid reader and writer. I'm drafting what I'm currently calling Project Phoenix, and it is a high fantasy with a romantic subplot. And you guys, this is the video where I'm going to finish the first draft. We're gonna do it. We're here already. This is so surreal. And wow, I'm gonna have a lot to process, so buckle up. As of right now, I am 92,000 words into my first draft. Hi! We have someone, as always, who wants to greet us. His name is Alphonse. He is my cat, and he is very sweet. Anyway, I digress. I am 92,000 words into this first draft, and I've pretty much resolved at this point that no matter what, once I hit about 100,000 words, I'm just gonna call my draft finished. And that is because I did do more of a zero draft already to the end of the book, so I have all of the scaffolding down. But before I was ready to conclude the first draft, I did want to kind of fill in some of those gaps, add a bit of prose, add some dialogue, flesh out some scenes. But I also know that a lot about the ending at this point is going to most likely change, but I feel like I'm not ready to write those scenes until I go back and revise the beginning of the book and the middle of the book. So I'm sort of in a weird limbo where, yes, I want to write the ending, but I don't want there to be too much detail because I know that a lot is going to change anyways. But I feel like 100K for the first draft is a very solid goal, and it just kind of gives me something to work towards. And then yeah, once I hit about 100K, as soon as I feel like I've said everything that I can say at this point, I'm going to close out the first draft, which is, I mean, at this rate, I don't know. So I've been writing roughly 4,000 words a week, give or take, but mostly give. So that means that 2 weeks from now, I'm going to have a finished first draft. Potentially even sooner than that, if I can kind of kick my butt into order. So yeah, I don't know. That's not quite fully sinking in, but that feels really significant to me for the sake of processing my feelings. So this will be the first draft of the full-length book that I have ever completed, which honestly is huge for me because it's kind of like once you've run a mile, you feel confident that you can go out and run a mile, or like, you know, scale that up. Once you've run a half marathon or a marathon, like, you know you can do it. So mentally, I mean, half the battle is in your mind when it comes to running and when it comes to writing books. Probably more than half the battle is in your mind at that point. And of course, there's just the discipline of sitting down and doing the thing, but it's a lot easier to sit down and do the thing if you know that you can do it and you have the confidence to do it. So I just know that accomplishing this first draft, even if I don't end up publishing this book, if I decide for this to not be my debut, which, like, I'm hopeful that it's my debut, but if I get to the end of revisions and I don't think it's a book that I want to have out there, I'm just not going to put it out there. With the exception of maybe a select few people who I know, like, really want to read the book, regardless of whether or not it's even that good. But even just the fact that I've finished this, I've accomplished this, it gives me confidence for the future. And you know, I've spent a lot of my life writing and thinking about writing. I have started so many first drafts. There's two in particular that I got especially far into. I never finished any of them. And I've probably written well over a dozen short stories. I've written a lot of poetry. I have done so much thought about writing. Heck, I majored in creative writing. So I spent the better part of 3 years specifically spending most of my time thinking about writing and craft and gleaning what I can from my professors, my peers, craft books, and normal books. Like, so much of my life has been around writing, but it's crazy to me that I have never accomplished this milestone in a writer's life of finally finishing the first draft of a full-length novel. And it almost makes me want to cry, but I'm not going to. We're not gonna do this. We're too early on in the video for this. I'm gonna have to cry later, but not today. Yeah, I guess all I have to say is I'm really excited, and I'm gonna do what I can. I'm going to write what I can. I do feel a little bit daunted by the ending at the moment, but really I'm trying to not put so much pressure on myself. As part of the reason that I'm honestly making it more of a word count goal at this point than an actual, like, you really actually wrote through everything in the ending, because I don't know if I feel completely ready to write the entire ending, but we're going to do what we can. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey, because it's been a lot of fun. And obviously we're going to keep going after this, because after the first draft, I've got so many other book ideas. I have the second book, because this is going to be like a duology, if you didn't know. Oh, and I feel very daunted by the second book, if I'm being honest, because I think that the conflict is going to scale up significantly and the stakes are going to scale up significantly. And obviously I'm going to have the whole revision stage for this book here. So, I've got a long journey still ahead of me, but I am really grateful that I'm not doing this alone. So to all my writing friends out there, thank you. So let's finish this first draft.
Welcome to business.
Yesterday I had like 2 writing sessions. The first one I got 570 words, and the second one I got 588 words, which was really good. So my total for yesterday was 1,158 words. And then just now I did a writing sprint, and I am developing like a headache and my kids woke up from their nap, so like I couldn't do the full sprint, but I got, let's see how many words, 264 words. So pretty solid, all things considered. I've actually been writing a scene that I didn't really expect to write. I mean, I had it somewhat loosely framed. So Vera is currently going through, I guess, like the dark night of the soul moment, where what she thought that she wanted isn't what she really wanted, she's realizing. And she believes that she made a really big mistake. And I knew that she was going to have some kind of a debrief with Rosalind, a conversation to help her to process these things. And the interesting thing is that Rosalind is like not a very emotional, deep feeling person, but she is a person that notices things, and she's very like objective and pragmatic. I think that it's going to be really refreshing to Vera as a person who's kind of wallowing in her emotions and overwhelmed, because she's currently in a state where she feels like no matter what she does, she's going to be doing the wrong thing. Rosalind is there to basically just be like, well, what do you want? Honestly, I'm really happy with how this conversation is panning out so far, and I'm writing out a lot more detail and dialogue even than I kind of expected to. It's all just kind of flowing out really nicely, so I'm very happy about that. So my total word count at this very moment is 93,423 words, which means technically, if I'm just going by the 100K mark, I have like 6,500 words to go, and that is really surreal and exciting. We're getting closer and closer, guys. I would love to do some more writing tonight, but we'll see. Now that I'm kind of wrapping this session up, I'm gonna play outside with my children because it's a really nice day outside, and maybe I'll read a book and, you know, be interrupted a gazillion times while I like stand up to help them with the bike and get things for them and whatever, but it'll be fun. And then once my husband gets home, I will need to do some of my actual work for my actual job. And then once the kids are actually in bed, maybe, just maybe, I can get like an evening writing session in. But there is one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about that I'm realizing about my writing style, or at least what I'm trying to do. I was telling my husband about this. I actually read the scene, or I like read what I had written to him last night. As I was doing it, I was like, you know what? Something that I've realized I think is important to me, or a mantra that I'm going to have, especially during revision, is restraint. Like that's the key word, is restraint. I want to allow there to be room to breathe, and I want to allow there to be room for subtext and for the reader to read between the lines a little bit. Like not everything has to be physically on the page. Now, obviously, you can be like a little bit too subtle maybe, so I don't necessarily want to like give people nothing. But yeah, I've read a few books recently where kind of everything feels like it's on the page and it's plain to see. And as a reader, I was finding myself wishing where the writer put down like 3 sentences describing something, or 3 sentences. And it's more of like an idea thing, right? Like if you're thinking about concepts or interpretation or even dialogue, it's like I felt like the writer put in 2 sentences too many. It's like I wish they had pulled back a little bit and let there be more space. So for example, I'm just going to read like some pieces of their dialogue. Vera is kind of sad. She's in a dark emotional space. It starts off like the scene with her like lying there practically dissociating, but not in so many words. And obviously this is first draft. It's not polished like at all. I just kind of spilled it out, and so I'll refine it further. Also, I think that this concept is maybe slightly overdone, so I might also change the flow of the conversation, but I think it's going to illustrate what I mean by restraint and what I'm trying to do. So basically, the action that is currently happening is Rosalind lit a candle and walked over to Vera. It kind of shines in her face and is like looking at her because Vera has been like MIA all day. So Rosalind is just staring, frowning at her. And so Vera looks up at her and she says, "Yes? Just making sure you're still alive," Rosalind grunted. "Have you eaten anything?" "Yes," she lied. Rosalind didn't move. She just stood there, the flames dancing over her cold features. Silence gnawed between them. Vera rested her forearm over her eyes. "What do you want?" "Funny. I was about to ask you the same thing. I just want to go home." "And where is that?" Vera lifted her arm to meet Rosalind's gaze. Her face scrunched. Fenside fell on her tongue, but before she could speak it, she stilled. Home was not always a place. Vera turned to her side, away from Rosalind, trying to ignore the lump building in her throat. "I think I made a mistake," she whispered. "So what are you going to do about it?" "Nothing," Vera said. "I can't do anything, okay? I just need to wait and get out of here and get back to my family, and it will all be fine." A beat of quiet followed. Rosalind set the candle on the side table, and the bed scrunched beneath her weight as she sat next to Vera. "You might regret it," said Rosalind. "Given the way you're behaving right now, you'll absolutely regret it." "It'll all be back to normal soon. What is there to regret?" "Oh, I don't know. Not telling the love of your life how you feel before abandoning him to God's know-what." Vera sat up, head spinning. "Excuse me?" Rosalind smirked. "I pay attention. It's fairly obvious. The way you two look at each other is frankly disgusting." Recently, I've read several books where the author would have like elaborated, and instead of like allowing space to breathe, they would have said, "Home's not always a place, but it can sometimes be a person too, and a soul where like you're entwined forever." And no, like that's not the kind of tone that I want. So basically, yeah, all that being said, I am pretty happy with how this is turning out, even it being a rough draft. I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm kind of doing what I want to be doing. But anyway, I'm gonna go now because I have to go. So I just got off of a writing sprint a couple of hours ago on Tay's channel, which was honestly super fun. Thank you so much, Tay, for having me. So last night I wrote a few hundred words, not a ton, but like something. And over the course of the sprint, well, there were 2 sprints. The first one was almost 400 words, and the second one was over 600 words. So over the course of the writing sprints, I got somewhere in the realm of 1,000 words. So now my total word count is 95,040 words. And you guys, I'm gonna meet my goal. Wow, you're just watching me process that. So relieving to me, but also anxiety inducing, because I know what's next is going to be different, and sometimes it's hard for me to change gears and do something different. So on the one hand, I'm really excited for this accomplishment that's right on the horizon, but on the other hand, I'm also like processing, whoa, like what I've been sitting down to do, like it's going to be different now. It's going to change the nature of my writing. The stage that I'm in is also going to change, but I also think I'm going to feel a lot of freedom and maybe have a breath of fresh air and feel like I can finally address some of the issues that my book has, that like I know that it has, but I just have been pressing on and ignoring them in favor of just finishing the draft. But anyway, I mean, it's all very surreal, but I'm less than 5,000 words away from declaring the first draft finished. I will say, so I haven't finished the lecture yet, but I was just watching Brandon Sanderson's lecture on world building, and I've been realizing, I mean, I've always kind of known this, but especially because I've been reading a lot of books and paying close attention to what they do that makes them succeed. I've been realizing that the greatest deficiency, I think, in my book is in the world building. When I was on the brainstorming stage, I threw around a lot of ideas, and most of the world building I kind of came up with in the middle of writing the draft and the story. And I do think that the world building does a decent job of being in service of the plot and the narrative itself. But what I think my world building lacks in is, so when I read like a really good book, I guess let me start over. When I read a really good book, like for example, The Will of the Many and Blood Over Brighthaven are 2 that come to mind. There are obviously lots of other ones, but my favorite books personally are the books that have a lot of cohesion among the world building. So that could be culture, religion, magic system, even down to geography, I guess, and people groups and stuff like that, and language. There's cohesion with those elements, as well as plot, character arc, and theme. I think for me, the piece that is missing the most is having theme tie everything together. So for example, in Blood Over Brighthaven, I'm currently reading this book. It is laser focused in its themes, and everything in the world and in the religion and in the magic system, all of it, and like the plot twists and the character arcs, all of it is in service to these themes, and it's all so satisfying and cohesive to watch, and it makes for a very focused story. And I don't think that all stories need to be this way. I've read plenty of really fun, good books that don't have this necessarily, and they're more like fun stories. But if you want your book to be saying something, I don't know, I just feel like the best books I've read have this cohesion to them. And I know that this is just the first draft, but I feel like in order for me to create this cohesion and I guess like synchronicity or synchronism, I'm gonna have to like do a lot of changes, and that's so overwhelming. And like I don't know if as a writer I'm even at the spot, like I don't know that I am a good enough writer to achieve that. You know what I mean? And I know that like it's impossible to do literally everything well, right? And writing is rewriting. And yeah, I think I've just been confronted with that realization of this is a really big weakness of mine. And I mean, okay, I'm giving myself grace. This is my very first full book that I'm actually finishing and fully thinking through. I think that most of the things that I've written tend to have a lot of nuance to them, and so the themes are not as overt and laser focused and direct. So like that might just be a tendency of mine. Like I just tend to waffle on things. I tend to not have extremely strong opinions or vocal opinions. There's a few things that matter a lot to me and matter deeply to me, and maybe those are the things I should be writing about. But yeah, there's not a whole lot that I don't know, I tend to view things from multiple perspectives. So I think that this is part of the reason that it's such a struggle for me, is that like whatever thing I choose to examine, I'm not I don't know if I'm going to have a laser focused opinion on it in the way that, say, like Blood Over Brighthaven seems to have. And I don't know, I guess there's different books for different people. And does every book have to really deeply say something? I don't know. I mean, there's an argument to be said for. See, I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing where I'm like, well, you know, people have different opinions and there's different perspectives and there's lots of validity to different perspectives. But anyway, at this point I'm rambling, but that's just something that I've noticed and I'm gonna need to address in later drafts, and I'm not even sure that I'm going to be capable of doing this, because that would also require me to like kill my darlings and say goodbye to some of my ideas that I hold dear, and like, do I even have good enough ideas to carry this out the way that I want? I don't know. Is this the right story to be writing? I don't know. I'm just struggling with like all of those like questions. That's just where I'm at. But you know, it's fine. Everything is fine. We're fine. I just have to keep writing. Like I can't think about it. I can't think about it right now. But all right. Well, since I already wrote 1,000 words today, and I'm almost done with Blood Over Brighthaven, which, by the way, is going to be part of a video, like a reading vlog. As much as I like love it, it's like the end of the book, and there's a lot to process when you read the end of books. I guess I could theoretically edit a video, but to be honest, I kind of just want to like watch Zombieland or something, like do something so mindless. So I might do that. I had every intention of going out early this morning and taking you guys with me and working out, stopping by a coffee shop, maybe like writing in a library, like a place that's not my little corner desk. But alas, I woke up this morning ravaged by some manner of virus. I have a cold and everything hurts. Like I can barely move my neck because like just all of my muscles are aching, and it's not a fun time. And it's like 30 degrees outside, so it's not even like that nice of a day. And I just don't want to expose myself to the elements and expose myself to other people. So I'm gonna stay here. I have some work that I need to get done, like work, but I also have less than 2,000 words to go in my manuscript for the first draft, and in the state that I'm in, I'm not 100% confident that I can pull off finishing the first draft today, but I might try. But if it's not today, then almost certainly tomorrow or Thursday it will be finished. I just have, you know, life in the way first. But I did want to like months ago, I had like a post with questions on it, and I think I've only answered like one of them in these vlogs. I had the full intention of like answering these questions throughout. Oh, my husband's calling me. Hang on. Yo.
I'm sorry you're not feeling good, Joy. I just wanted to call to check in on you.
Amina actually asked, how has your experience with joining authortube been so far? What's been your favorite part, and is there anything that you didn't expect? I am so baffled and overwhelmed at like how supportive people have been. I mean, truly, I pretty much immediately like made friends, and like I recognize all the people in my comment section, and overall like people have just been so kind and welcoming, and it's writers supporting writers, which is super awesome. And I guess I just like didn't expect that. I expected it to be like, I don't know, I didn't necessarily expect it to be competitive, but I just didn't expect people to be as supportive as they are and as friendly and kind as they are. Like I thought I figured since writers tend to be more introverted, myself included, we would all just kind of like be in our own little bubbles and kind of stay in our lane. But that has not been my experience. I think everyone's really eager to make connections and get to know each other, like in an authentic way, like not just for the sake of making connections and like building their own audiences, but genuinely like people care about the project that you're writing and people care about your journey. There's nothing quite like having writing friends that can, like, yes, obviously, you can bond over the fact that you probably both like stories and books and probably have like a lot of general baseline things in common, but also you have someone that knows the craft that like when the time comes, you can beta read their book and they can beta read your book, or like, and I haven't really gotten there yet because I'm still just finishing the first draft, and I'm probably not going to start sharing this until I at least do like one revision pass through. I know like everyone's different in terms of timing of when they share things. Also, I'm so sorry for the noises. My children are just playing, which is great, good for them. Like, I'm glad that they're occupied, but they're being noisy. Anyway, like everyone has been so encouraging. So yeah, my experience with authortube has been frankly overwhelmingly positive so far. For that, I'm very grateful. Hopefully my brain works enough for me to get some writing done. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. Excuse the fact that I'm in full gremlin mode right now. Oh, I'm at 99,500 words. I literally just have to write 500 words. But I'm so tired. I don't want to. I want to finish it, but I'm also just like, I don't know. I'm feeling so strange right now because I'm so close to the end, but I almost don't want it to end because I know that once I'm done with this draft, everything's gonna be so different, and I have a lot of work to do still. Oh my gosh, why am I struggling so much? I mean, I've written like 1,500 words today alone, at least, or no, maybe less than that, a little bit less than 1,500 words, and I hated all of them, frankly. So right now I'm just kind of trying to figure out. Oh, my husband's calling me again. Hi.
Yo.
I have 500 words left in my first draft.
Oh my gosh.
I just need to set like a 25-minute timer and write, and I can knock it out, but I'm just feeling so tired.
If you finish your first draft, then we might have to celebrate somehow.
Are you gonna bring me something?
What if we celebrate, since you do run on coffee? We could celebrate by getting you an upgraded coffee maker.
Oh, that's too much. No.
Oh.
No, I was honestly maybe just thinking of you picking something up to make me motivated, where it's like the second I can tell you that I'm done, you get something for me.
Well, I'm happy to get you coffee, or I can go to the store and I can buy something fun for dinner.
Frankly, though, my brain is fried, so I don't know. My thought would just be like a little treat.
Okay, I will bring you a little treat if you finish your first draft. This coupon is good for one little treat.
All right, folks, you heard it. If I can write these 500 words and finish this first draft, I will get a little celebratory something. I can write 500 words for a coffee. I'll see you on the other side, I guess. I did it! There it is. I hit the 100,000 word mark at 3:39 p.m. on Tuesday, March 25th. And I actually went back and looked at when I technically started writing this draft. And you guys, it has been exactly 1 year, to the day, when I started writing this draft in earnest. I didn't even really do that on purpose. I just wanted to finish by the end of March, but I can't believe that happened. But okay, the last words that I wrote just now, I don't think these are going to actually be the last words in the book, but they're just the last words that I've written for the first draft so far. And it's, you still have a story to tell, Cecil. It doesn't have to be this. I am going to process that for a little bit. I think since I'm so unwell, I'm not really ready to actually talk about this. I'm not going to launch into revision or anything like that. I'm not going to reread anything right now. I'm just going to rest and try to recover. Next video might be me looking for comps because I'm also in the middle of working on that video. So if you're interested in a reading vlog, keep your eyes open for that. I'm also going to be working on preparing for revisions and eventually brainstorming other new projects that I want to work on next after this one's finished. So yeah, I still have a lot of writing in my future, but I have hit over 100,000 words in this draft, and I'm declaring the first draft of Project Phoenix as finished. Thank you so much for joining me and being a part of this milestone in my writing journey. I don't really know what else to say, so I think that's gonna be it.